I'm not writing that. Dannie?
Yeah. Yeah, you can just go by Danny. It's I know
okay.
Dayanar is a bit of a mouthful.
You are what kind of Farosh? You are druid, you are rogue, you are what?
I'm a rogue.
Okay.
Are we gonna get frames?
I am writing them now.
Oh.
You will have in moment.
That's wicked.
I do like this song. It's quite nice.
You like violin. You are very classy.
I do. I think I play something.
I play the lute.
You play wizard.
Yes, I play viol. Yes.
Is that bigger than violin? Is in suffix in common that means small?
I have no idea. I'm thinking it's smaller because it is. I am small, so maybe I play it like an upright. That would be nice.
Because I am very, very small.
I am.
That
Yes.
pulpit.
You play upright, so cello, because upright.
Yes.
Okay.
To some extent.
Let me make sure I have written correctly. We have Danny, Pharaoh. Here, I will put them in.
Oh yes, that would be easy.
Oh, there is one more to do. I must know how.
How what, dear?
Hold on, one sec.
Oh, Jay just said our audio is live.
Well, that is fine. You will already know. Hello, internet.
Hello.
Now you know all of our pronouns. That's
Yes,
good.
you do.
Hello, everyone.
How to spell Ashlyn?
AISL.
And I will use that spelling. Thank you. And you are what? Fire gen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Countless Heroes. This is Countless Heroes Prequel. We're going back to the past to talk and look at characters that, well, you've heard about but have never met. Ashlyn, Danny, Isdri, Lady Enith, Hobbs, and Uma. You are currently traveling with two companions. A fairly young, but old in mind, wizard named Pinball. Very head-sure. A little pretentious. And quite the ladies' man. Well, also the man's man.
Okay.
As well as Ashlyn, one of your very good friends, yours and Pinball's. Her name is Pyre, a fire genasi. One of the only other fire genasi that exist within the city. Pyre, Pinball, and the six of you have been on a few adventures here and there, dealing different things for the city, for the governor, Goodsbury, retrieving artifacts and creating a little mayhem here and there. Not on purpose, of course. Doing good for the city on every level. This is a personal mission. Pyre has received permission to enter the Undermist. As a matter of fact, there's a small guide with her, a will-o'-the-wisp, but not like any that you've ever seen. This one is colorful. This one is rainbow. As it guides you through the Undermist, you come to a threshold, a hedge, very thick. Your will-o'-the-wisp friend dives right into it, as well as Pyre, giggling, her flaming, literally, red hair brushing aside out of her face as she looks over at Pinball and Ashlyn and jumps through the hedge. Pinball rolls his eyes a little and jumps through as well. Each of you
goes through.
Each of you following suit. On the other side, the Feywild. The true Feywild. Several hours pass, although you've been assured that very little time is passing in the real world, as you are traveling and seeing all manner of sights of creature. The banter between the group is strange. Pinball, Pyre, and Ashlyn spend most of their time giggling with each other, making jokes that some of the others probably don't understand, as they seem to spend a lot of time together. But you're all very, very good friends, and everyone feels included and happy. The good you've done for the city and the things that you've built and created have, well, they're beyond compare. Cinderhaven is a grander city than any you've ever seen, and it will continue to grow. Governor Goodsbury has a lot of very, very incredible ideas for the future. And he has your full support.
He does. He's helped us get many books. That's good.
Indeed.
Talk of a university has started. As you're continuing on, you go to a very deep, thick part of the forest where the mist hangs at your feet. Strange because it's summertime, but, well, it's the fate. Pyre has been tasked with retrieving an item here. A small favor. She hasn't said much beyond that. Having pulled in a favor with the governor himself, the governor put his full support behind this quest and asked you all to go with. Even though you probably would have done it anyway, knowing how good you are. In the thickest part of the forest, at least that you've seen so far, you start to hear the sounds of breaking trees, large, thunderous footsteps. And before you have a chance to think, the tree line breaks. And out comes this huge, vine-like creature with 4 legs and huge tusks. But it seems to be made mostly or all out of some sort of plant material. Vines wrapped over and over again around its body. Deep, glowing red eyes. The Guardian sent to stop you. Roll initiative.
Logan,
Yes.
we didn't introduce any characters to the audience. They might not know
Nope.
anything. Okay. Or the subject. Okay.
I think that's intentional.
Okay.
That's a 1.
That's a 10.
17.
I also have a 10 plus 2 Tess.
Plus 2.
We're going to be doing this game in moments, so we will not be rolling many dice, except in situations where I think it might be necessary or appropriate. Because we know that these characters survive these encounters, because this is not their end. This is not where they stop. They're already set in history. So this is a moment of storytelling. This is telling the story of this particular combat in this particular time. And in this place, at this time, this combat does not go well. At least not initially. So, I would like you to describe every moment about something you accomplish, but also a large setback.
Uma, what'd you roll?
16. She rolled well for once.
There
Lady
were
Enid?
too many smells. Lady Enid roll 13 despite advantage and +3. 15. 15. Sorry.
Cool.
Mike, even though we rolled the same, can go ahead of me.
All right, Mike. So describe your moment in
I
combat
rolled a
with this
10.
creature.
We are low down.
Oh,
we
who's
just-
the top?
Danny is.
Danny.
Me, the rogue.
Danny, please describe your moment, and in that, describe what your character looks like.
Okay. So Danny, wasn't expecting to go first. Danny, of course, is hiding at some point as soon as she sees this creature, and waits for the right moment to dash out and stab into it from behind as it's approaching her friends. So sneak attack damage and all of that. And per her typical style, she's going to try to run up its back so that she can stab towards the back of the neck and do as much
Okay.
damage as possible. Her fur blows behind her in the wind, her bangs getting out of her face. She is light tan for the most part, with her darker brown mask firmly in place and her little darker furred gloves and feet. She is a Feroche with the usual ferret coloring of the tan and the dark brown. And do I describe the bad thing now too?
Why don't you describe the way your character... Well, you did describe the way your character looks. What is your character wearing?
Okay. She is wearing studded leather. She's
What does
dressed.
that look like?
Okay, we're going full on. All right, so she's wearing a dark brown leather vest. It's almost black, but not quite, and it's got small black studs all over it. They've been treated somehow, probably by Ashlyn, to be dark so that they all blend in, even though they give her the extra protection. Her pants are also a thick leather. They're not necessarily something that'll hinder her movement, but she wanted them thick so that if something does try to slice at her, she's got the extra protection. She's ferocious, so no shoes, but she's probably got some sort of padding on them just to make her footfalls even softer when she's moving and to protect them from anything sharp on the ground. And she's got a rapier in one hand and a dagger in the other.
Okay. As you're running up this creature to stab it in the back of the neck, every time you step anywhere near where 2 or 3 of these vines kind of roll over each other, it almost starts to tense up, like it's trying to push and grab at your feet with its tentacles, a seemingly natural ability of this creature. How does Danny's personality come out in her attacks?
She goes for what's efficient. She's sort of a reluctant rogue. She started doing it and thieving and sneaking around because she was good at it and needed to help provide for her mother and younger siblings when her dad kind of disappeared. But she doesn't necessarily like having to steal from people or anything like that. In terms of fighting monsters, she has no problem with it, but she also understands that she is not the biggest person in the party, even though she's good at hitting those really delicate spots. So she tries to get in, get out, and get everything done as quickly as possible to protect herself and her friends.
Excellent. So when this combat starts to go poorly, what happens to Danny?
Given what I just said, I would think one of her feet gets caught in some of the vines. So she's kind of stuck there, but also because she's stabbing at it, the thing's thrashing around, one of her weapons goes flying away. She has backups, but they're not as good as her primary ones. So
Perfect. Something Danny finds out very quickly as these vines kind of grasp and just tense up, like almost like a muscle. They grab onto her. As soon as they have something, they seem to pull down even tighter as new vines kind of come up and over. It almost starts to swallow you from any point on its body. Who's next?
Uma.
Uma, please describe your moment.
Okay, so what you see is this about 7'5", kind of with a dopey, smiley look on her face, always furballed with really dark reddish brown hair. You can see she has like some light scratches or bruises on her arms, mostly from little animals that she has tried to help before, but weren't always very receptive of this said help.
Honey Badger don't give shit.
And she's wearing what looks like half-plate armor that you think at first would be metal, until you get a closer look and notice that it actually seems to be from the hide of some kind of massive animal. Bullet, meta talk. When she's her first instinct when she sees this giant plant creature is friend, and so she's gonna. We're in the Feywild, correct? And she would know that. Okay. So what Uma would do is she would try and get in front of the creature, and Silva go, "Hey, buddy, we're not here to hurt you. We're just here to pass through. Do some cool stuff, all that good stuff. Yeah," and just try to make friends with it, talking to it in Sylvan. Because when she sees a plant or an animal, she has friend first and then maybe attack later, depending on its reaction.
Sure. And its initial reaction might have been hesitation, but unfortunately it has a job to do just like the rest, and it still would have pushed through. I think your personality came out very well there, and you did a good description. So how, when the combat starts to go poorly, does it go poorly for Uma?
Like I said, she gets right in front of the thing, so it probably goes badly where it pretty much does a, I guess, some kind of front attack where she takes a good chunk of front damage just because she went right in front of the damn thing. So she definitely either got caught easily or really just smacked around real quick when she tried to make friends with this poor creature.
All right. Perfect.
Of course, her reaction would be, ow.
Who's next?
Milady.
Yes.
Lady Enith. Please describe your moment.
So 7.5 feet of fur and muscle and fury bound towards this plant beast, as Lady Enith furiously attacks with her halberd from 15, then 10 feet away. She just starts wailing on it. She's adorned in this beautiful, sort of almost coppery looking dwarven plate mail with runes all over it. It's very elaborate. When I say bugbear, imagine like Beast from Beauty and the Beast, but with like braiding and stuff in her mane, sort of add a little bit of showmanship. And she is, like I said, this rage and fury, but also this incredibly well-trained martial fighter. So she's hitting with her halberd and then misty steps to the other side of the creature and starts hitting it again. And so she's kind of this very elaborate spectacle of fighting prowess. Snarling the whole way, full row of massive teeth.
Perfect. So, when the combat starts to go poorly for Lady Enith, what happens?
She encounters those vines you described earlier. She's sort of relatively right up in its face and is just in a constant, not tug of war, but a constant back and forth with these vines, getting wrapped and restrained and tugged to the ground and then tearing her way out of it, but then it does it again. She's just stuck in this perpetual fight to try to get out of a grapple, which has essentially left her completely unable to do anything. Yeah. So she's just being wrestled by vines for an excessive amount of time.
Vine wrestling. I like that. Who's next?
The Great Wizard Hobbs.
Hobbs.
So Hobbs was he was most likely waiting in the back because he's got his staff. His staff is shaped like it's a shepherd's staff because you'd see somebody out there herding goats with. He's got like a light gray robe and a cap as well. He's about 5 feet tall and he's got a beard, but it's not quite as long as he'd like it to be, and he's a little bit self-conscious about it. Let's see here. Oh yeah, he's got his spell book and it is tucked into his pocket, and just at the top of it you can see it's called Tasha's Guide to Animal Husbandry. But yeah, and sitting on his shoulder is a little pygmy goat. His name's Calvin. So what happens is when this creature steps out, and it basically, the first thing that happens is that Calvin faints, because that's what he's good at. And he faints just as Hobbs is casting his spell, and it's a reckless cast because I like to invent things. And I already rolled, and what I rolled a 10, and anyway, I rolled a double spell. It's a powerful one, and so just as Hobbs is fainting, he hits my staff. This is a common occurrence, and I just close my eyes and just wish for the best. So a wall of stone completely surrounds me because I miss my target. And then right after that, almost immediately, a destructive wave destroys it with radiant and thunder. So it just this shattering stone, just everywhere. And I'm just standing there, and I lean down and Calvin, wake up there, Calvin.
Perfect. Sounds like you got all three all rolled into one there. Sounds like you got your moment, but also your bad moment all at once. So perfect. Thank you so much. And we've got a good look into what Hobbs and his relationship with his goat is like. Isri, who's next?
Ashlyn.
Ashlyn. Please describe your moment.
So Ashlyn is another fire ganassi, much like Pyre. She is about 5'10", has deep tanned skin, big brown eyes, and her hair is a flaming, almost literally red, that looks like embers that are just slowly dying. And as she sees the tree, they almost flare to life a little bit, giving off iridescent sparks from the tight curls that she has her hair up. And she is currently astride her mount, which Fizzgig, who is a displacer beast, which she has raised since a kitten, and is wearing a simple black leather pants and jerkin, because in her off time she is a blacksmith and a forge cleric, but over it she is currently wearing a bit of half plate, which is almost seems to be smoldering on her as she's striding forward, carrying a shield. She hops off of Fizzgig and runs towards this creature, casting a brandishing smite on her mace as she discharges into combat and unleashes several blows of smiting energy and divine radiance against this creature.
That was really good. But as we know, this combat does not stay positive for long. When things start to go bad, how do they go bad for Ashlyn?
Ashlyn, seeing that some of her friends have taken damage, immediately switches into cleric mode and unthinkingly rushes towards them, only to get tripped up by these vines and unable to reach her friends to heal them.
Okay. And one more? Last?
Isri. Isri's eyes go wide. These yellow lizard sort of eyes go wide as she sees this beast, and her long, sort of leathery, sort of almost rabbit-shaped ears go back. And as Uma steps forward and proclaims this greeting to this obviously evil monster that's coming to kill them, Isri says, "Oh dear, that never works." And she rushes forward. Necrotic energy starts building around her hands and flowing out, wrapping around this vegetable monster, and seeming to do extraordinary damage as she casts blight on it. She is rushing forward. She's got these real tiny horns, and she's got a very slight frame. Her very powerful thighs are just churning under her as she very slowly makes her way towards this monster, because she's small. She's got a pretty short speed. She's adorned in these fine silk robes that very soon become tattered as this thing closes in around her. And she sees it closing in around her friends as well, and just starts screaming and pleading with it. "Please no, please no, please don't, it's not worth it, don't eat us, don't, please." And the vine monster starts just focusing all its attention on Isri as they're able to get back into the fight and start turning the tide a little.
Okay. Was that your negative moment?
It was.
All right. So with Pinball being a little bit too sure of himself in these sorts of situations and showing off a little bit, keeping his eyes on Ashlyn and Pyre, and just kind of just goofing off a little bit too much, kind of jumps into the fray more than any wizard should, trusting his shield to protect him, but unfortunately, it does not. He does get off quite a few good shots, including a fireball that erupts somewhere within it, creating these flames just wick out through all of the vines and kind of glow inside for a moment before it comes down into nothing. But shortly after that, several of the vines reach out and pick him up and slam him against the largest tree nearby. He falls unconscious to the ground. Pyre, upon seeing that, gets very, very frustrated and casts a few spells of her own. Being a sorceress, she has very few, but they're extremely potent, casting 2 spells a turn, one right after another, several times over before a very similar fate befalls her, where several vines come crashing down, just slamming her to the ground and knocking her unconscious. And as the tide seems to be the absolute worst that it can be inside of this combat, you all start to think about how you got here in the first place.
Freeze frame.
It's a party you've just been invited to, well, you're just showing up to, at the governor's mansion. Reynard Manor. It is a very, very kind of foppish affair, although the governor swears he hates them. You're not sure if you believe him or not. Pyre, however, is very excited, as is Pinball. They both love the opportunity to show up. Pinball and Pyre have worked with a local Magerite seamstress and have created a dress that actually glows like ember. Pinball is accompanying her as they come to the party. This being a very foppish sort of traveling dignitary type thing, there is a crier at the beginning as you enter who announces you. What does this person say about each of you? Knowing that this person knows you very well, or knows of you, at least what the governor would know about you, which no reason he wouldn't know pretty much everything, and that they are not going to let you get away with any small amount of pomp or circumstance. What motes of your personality come out through this?
God, I wouldn't be so clever, but also Uma's really stupid, so I have to think
But
that
the
way
crier
too.
is very clever. Remember, this is not Uma talking. This is not your character talking.
I know.
This is what the crier would be saying about you. This is how the governor talks about you behind closed doors. And he loves you. So when you're ready, raise your hand.
Logan, I put a question into the group chat really quickly because it will be pertinent to how I use that.
Sure, yes.
Okay.
I have a question because Heather can't remember because it's been a really long time since we played these characters. But Lady Enith was the only one of us that was ever given like an actual kind of title, correct?
Like you've had titles
Not
for years.
necessarily. This is years later.
Yeah.
Any one of you can have a title at this point. You're level 15. I would guess that some of you may be in relationships or maybe even married. That's your choice. At this point, it's completely up to you. There's been very little actually established in canon, and so you make the decision.
I guess for Uma, she wouldn't take a title such as like Lady or Duchess or anything like that, but she would probably be announced like a Uma Dirtman. Yes, that is her full name. Uma Dirtman. That's her name, is Uma Dirtman. Uma Dirtman, Warden and Protector of the Wilds is something that she would like to have been known as, because just her backstory and what she was used to in protecting all animals and plants is what she wants to do. So that's what she would want to be known for. So that's kind of what she would probably be announced as.
Is there any title or any particular deeds or anything that would be called out as well? rescuer of animals.
Probably something like that, yeah. Or yeah, speaker of the
Friend of the
wilds.
fauna. Speaker of the wilds. Perfect.
Yeah,
I love
just
that.
because she has so many ways to
I
fucking
love
talk
that.
to nature. So speaker of the wild.
Perfect. That's amazing. Good job. All right. Who's next? All right, Lady Enith.
Lady Enith provides
This one's going to be a while.
Lady Enith provides the crier with a written introduction. It's only appropriate to bring your own so that the crier does not have to assume anything. So he reads from that, valiant, gallant knight of the realm, Lady Enith of Stone's Throw, protector of the kingdom of Highwater, friend of the downtrodden, upholder of justice and the education system, and he sort of hesitates, and sneaky like bugbear.
Love it.
Love it. And
After which Enith
like bugbear.
politely takes the intro back from him, folds it, puts it in her pocket, and then enters the scene. Her cape also billows.
Do you have a cape of billowing?
I think she might have actually.
Maybe.
All right. Who's next?
I'd be happy to go.
Go for it.
Isri walks in, and without glancing at the crier calls out, Isri Sawtooth, founder of the Great Arcane Book Club, founder of the Cinderhaven Wine and Cheese Society, slayer of the fashionless, and protector of the realm's style.
Perfect. I love it.
She has a glass of wine in her hand prior to him finishing.
Prior to the crier finishing.
Properly aerated.
Of course. No other way is
She
appropriate.
brings her own aerator. She can't trust anyone else to do it properly.
That's what Gust of Wind is for, right?
Yes, exactly.
We have a
All right. Who's next?
He introduces Hobbs as a dwarf from the highest of hills, animal philanthropist, inventor of all magic, quarter of Sicily, and proud member of the Arcane Book Club.
Perfect. I love that.
And then Calvin gets an intro.
And
Yeah, probably.
No, Calvin trots in. The crier opens his mouth, says one syllable, and he goes. "Rrr," and he just...
Official sleeper of the realm.
Oh.
Oh,
He is a professional napper.
perfect. All right, Danny,
Okay.
you looked ready,
Kind of.
as you'll ever be.
Yeah, as I'll ever be. I wasn't expecting this, so I hadn't thought of anything.
Good.
Okay, so Danny walks in, and the crier announces, Dayanara of House Skyfall, head of her house, I don't know, and I'm not sure what titles she would have gotten, honestly.
Would she have had titles, or was she just told the
I
crier,
don't-
"No, that's
I-
enough. I'm good."
Yeah. She honestly, she probably would have stopped. She's like, no, that's all right. You good? That's enough. Everyone knows who I am. I don't need to hear it. Thank you.
Oh.
Sorry. It's awkward. And she walks in, and
So he sits there as you do that, and he mumbles through the rest of it, almost like he's like has to finish it anyway. Just because it's like that thing. He's like, I memorized. I got to get through it. Or I'm not gonna remember the next one.
He
It was
doesn't
in
get
an
paid
order.
until he reads all of it.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, he doesn't get paid till he reads
It's like
all of
once I get started, I have to keep going.
Yeah,
No matter
like-
how loud it is, I have to keep saying it.
yeah, he's just mumbling to himself, da 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 da, and hidden death, and da 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 da, like those kind of things. And she's like, oh god. And she walks away very quickly. She's uncomfortable
Alright.
with the attention.
Perfect.
I guess that leaves me then. Sorry, I was trying to do some other stuff. So yeah, Ashlyn comes forward and she has left Fizzgig at home because usually Fizzgig at a party is a bad idea. Fizzgig loves people and frequently shows their love by slapping her tentacles up against people's faces in joyous greeting. So, all right. Answering a question for our DM. And so the herald comes up and says, announcing Ashlyn, Keeper of the Flame and founder of the Divine Foundry and former lieutenant of the City Guard. Ashlyn will just kind of slide in and just kind of nod to everybody and just kind of try and stick to the outskirts.
Go hide in a corner with
Don't
Danny.
wave at Uma.
Yeah. Danny's like hiding behind Uma.
She's also a
tall enough.
lifesaver. She saved my life a couple times.
And mine.
And she helped somewhat from me.
He chuckles at that.
So Pinball already having been there, although his titles were extensive and ridiculous, along with Pyre, see you and come on over, as you've been spending a lot of time with the two of them. They have the governor's ear just as you do, and you run in the same circles for the most part, other than, well, the two of them like these types of parties, and some of you may not necessarily enjoy them 100%. But there's a lot of fun and food, and especially with Pinball and Pyre, there's always a time. So as they come over, something that you'll notice is that Pyre has a little brooch on, and this brooch is just this sort of gorgeous bronze peacock feather, like the head of a peacock feather, but it's all bronze, so there's no color to it, except that's kind of pinned to it behind it is this gorgeous colorful feather. A feather like none you've ever seen. It doesn't look dyed. It looks natural, but it looks more like a normal feather you'd find on maybe a raven or something similar, except that it is rainbow. Seems to go through every one of the colors from the bottom all the way up. Pinball is, to make sure that he matched, has put rainbow colors into his beard. He's not sporting that white stripe that he is so fond of now. He doesn't get that for another few years. He's just simple black hair for now. He's sitting only on his beard as his point of interest. Although he is wearing a very, very beautiful sort of suit with a kilt bottom, and the top is sort of this kind of paisley patterned burgundy with these little sequins down on the lapels, yeah. That one was just for Tessa. My stepfather just bought that jacket in New Orleans. Yeah. And so they come over, they greet you, they give you big hugs. Pyre is wearing this just beautiful, flowing green dress. Kind of offsets. Almost makes her look a little Christmassy, though, which is kind of weird, but with her fire red hair.
It is fine. There is no Christmas in Cinderraven.
That's true.
Pyre.
And it's another thing too, so.
That's such a gorgeous brooch. Where did you get it?
I've had it for years.
I know I didn't
it's
make it.
wonderful.
No, you didn't make it. I've had it for years. Get over it.
That rainbow feather is really, really pretty.
Thank you. It was given to me by a friend.
It is lovely.
Thank you.
It goes nice with the dress,
it's-
too.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Enith is just sort of looming behind Pimble, kind of just mesmerized by the pattern on his jacket. Looks a little confused, like that's just a lot.
Yeah, that outfit, it reminds me of home there, Pinball. Mind if I stop playing? I'll just be quiet.
Please do.
He whips out his bagpipes and starts playing his bagpipes.
Quietly,
very
though.
softly.
Quietly.
Yeah, not to interrupt the party.
Oh, I wish I brought
Give
my...
me a performance check, Hobbs.
Uma wishes she brought her loot now.
18. So
18. That's pretty darn good. So the people kind of get into it. They come over and they get kind of excited. The governor has made it clear to any of the probably the string quartet that he's got that if any of his guests are to start to play and they play well, then they are to stop and let them play. So they
Not a
sort of
company?
stop and let Hobbs play. If they can, sure they will. But let's see how good they are.
It is hard to accompany a bagpipe.
The drummer could probably do it.
That's true. The drummer might be able to, but maybe not the
Is
rest
there
of
a
them.
drummer in a string quartet?
Wait, string quartet? No, there isn't.
Not as true.
It's like,
Edith
a
asks
string
where the
drummer?
drummer
String
is.
quartet
Is
plus
this-
a drummer.
Where is
Plus a
drummer?
drummer.
This is not complete band.
The cellist just starts using it like a bass.
Yeah.
There.
So yeah, the party goes fairly well. After a while, and some elbow rubbing, the governor finds you all and comes over. Oh, hello! It's good to see you all.
Hello.
Hi.
yeah,
Sir
welcome.
Goodsberry. And she
Good.
does
Obviously.
she does this elaborate
The-
bow.
He does the bow back. It's so good to see you all. Things are going so well. I really appreciate all of your efforts, and I can't tell you how impressed I am by all of you.
Thank you. Much thanks.
Gee,
We are
thanks.
impressive.
Pleased to
Quack.
be at your service.
He kind of looks up at Pinball and Pyre. Have you told them already? And she shakes her head and she goes, I have no idea how to bring it up.
They are out of sausage. Do not say this.
He reaches up and takes Lady's hand and kind of pats it. I would never run out of sausage when you are coming to a party. Ever.
That's good.
Oh.
Lady Enith loves sausage. It's
You
really
have all-
tasty, to be fair.
You have all my trust, sir.
Every party that you're at will be a sausage fest. I promise.
You should make sure to invite Pinball to those as well.
Edith looks like if you've ever seen a bugbear's lip quiver with emotion. She's so touched by this gesture.
Uma just gives her a fellow giantess shoulder pat, just like, yeah, I got you.
Edith looks at Uma. I like our boss.
And
do
Ashlyn
too.
absolutely did say that.
It sounds tasty.
We have quite a few other things as well, but always make sure to have enough sausage. Many different types. And herring. We have herring today.
You have fish. Yes.
Yeah.
Edith kind of cranes her head over and seriously debates completely blowing everyone off to go to the buffet.
But what were we talking about again?
Patience.
Just a
She pulls out a jerky from her bag and just starts chewing it.
Pyre has asked me to ask as a favor of you to help her on a little quest.
Oh,
Okay.
of course.
Sure.
All right, what's the
Well, that
quest?
was easy. Oh, good. I'm glad someone asked. It's so much easier to transition.
Yes, who are we killing?
Oh, that's not a good...
I don't know that any killing will be necessary, although I'm sure there might be a few protectors.
Exactly. Who are we killing?
Uh, Pyre. And Pyre steps forward and goes, okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure if you'd say yes if I asked. And
We are friends. We will say yes.
it's very selfish, though. It's not something for the betterment of good. It's just for me personally.
For betterment of you, we help friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
All right. And you just see Pinball lean over. Told you so. She just like gives him daggers, but with a smile. And she turns back and says, I have been given an opportunity to gain a promotion with a special group. I can't talk a lot about it. It has to do with the Fae.
You see Uma's eyes just light up.
And if I am, I've been working on this for quite a while, a very, very long time, most of my life actually. I want to become Fae.
Fancy.
Oh,
Not even possible? She looks at everyone else.
With Fae magic, it's
Anything's possible with magic.
oh, so true, Hobbs. And with Fae magic, absolutely. I've had to swear my loyalty to a Fae, and I have a task to complete. Actually, I've had dozens of tasks to complete, but this is the final one. If I can do it, I have to retrieve an item.
any old item? I can get something from my bag if you like.
No, this one is very, very particular.
What is it exactly?
Special Fae item.
Give
Get
her a
this for
moment.
you.
She's
I mean, we
getting
could-
to it.
1 second, sorry.
I mean, if it
looks
has something
like-
to go with Fae, like we get to go to the Feywild. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Uma just like starts doing a little half jump, like a little kid.
Enith reaches out with a hand to sort of like lessen the jumping. Like,
No.
it is fine. It is fine, Uma. It is fine.
Now remember, everyone, go to the bank, put in quite a bit of money for an interest-bearing account. If we have any sort of timey-wimey thing happen this time, I want us all to profit well.
Huh?
Well,
Exactly.
I spent all money on items, and Enith's carrying like multiple things that seem to be of holding.
If I didn't think you could accomplish this, I wouldn't have asked. The Fae is very powerful, though.
So are we.
Oh, well, yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. Well, she's no one knows her name, of course, but she is the Queen of Witches.
Oh,
Hmm.
this sounds important and scary.
Yes. And she has a collection, and inside of that collection, inside of one particular bottle, on her very difficult to get to estate, there is a clock,
So,
a small little cuckoo clock.
so we've just got to go take a clock from a witch.
It sounds
Yes,
like the
that's it.
witch, but yes.
Well,
The witch is probably
But-
more.
But which clock are we gonna take?
Yes, that's true.
Enith has been saying the word cuckoo quietly under her breath for several moments, and then looks to Isri like, cuckoo? Cuckoo clock.
Caw, caw.
A little,
Crow clock. You say crow wrong.
no, yes, a small little bird will come out and at certain intervals and tell you what time it is by yes, making annoying noises. It's not
That-
great.
Very, very fancy. How do train bird?
Carefully.
Do we need to capture birds as well, or just clock?
The bird is already in the clock.
Yes.
Oh, good.
We can replace it with a better one later. It'll be fine.
I could turn into a cuckoo and replace that. Wait, but then I'd have to stay there. Wait.
I think it's a very particular cuckoo that they're looking for, Uma. But that is a good plan.
you already are a little cuckoo, and that's why we love you.
Thanks! I don't know what that means, but okay.
You're amazing.
It means you are one with nature. You are like bird.
Exactly.
I can do that.
It means you're
A lot.
unique, and we like your uniqueness.
And we just has a big old dopey grin. You get that she probably doesn't understand if she was insulted in any way, but she's just smiling nonetheless.
Thank you.
You are most welcome.
Do you know what sort of foes we might be facing? Any guardians that we might need to prepare for?
Any tree friends we can make?
I doubt anything will be our friend.
Well, then we'll just have to be extra careful now, won't we?
Danny just pats Uma's back like, it's okay.
Or like her
You can-
thigh.
You can certainly
Yeah,
try.
actually.
Uma.
Do we leave now? Is this for now we go?
No, a few days.
We haven't
Oh.
even eaten yet.
I'm only about
He
2
doesn't
bottles
eyes
of wine
wide.
down. We can't leave yet. There's too much to try.
Enid,
This is the perfect
Take-
group
wait.
dynamic to take this seriously, isn't it?
Edith reaches out to nudge Isri to like check her balance because 2 bottles sounds like a lot for a little kobold.
She's okay.
They're cobalt bottles.
Yeah,
They're actually those little ones that they sell
Tiny
at the
bottles,
store.
yeah.
They come in 4
they're
packs.
hotel bottles.
Like Lord of the Rings, it comes in pints.
So you eventually make your way over to the buffet, where it is an immense, incredible amount of food, many different sausages and herrings. And
Not just sausage.
then-
Look for cured meat and chicken and fish and yes, all meats. All meats are good.
Lady, how did they make 7 different kinds of pickled herring? I don't understand.
Different pickles, different herrings.
sweet dill, buttercrisp,
There are
all
ways.
going
a lot
in-
of different,
She
lot of
will.
different types.
She eats something off the buffet table and then takes another handful and puts it in her chest of preserving that is strapped to her.
Yeah, we are working on
big
a way right
lunchbox.
now to discover the exact moment when a cucumber becomes a pickle. It's very important to find that out.
It is as important as quantum physics.
Yes, and
Yeah.
the
What's
lab
that?
smells
It is quantum
atrocious.
It is. It's when's the cucumber moment.
That is quantum physics, isn't it?
More like
Schrodinger's
a pickle jar.
cucumber.
That's easy.
Schrodinger's pickle. It's a cucumber or a pickle. You never.
Until you open the jar. Love it.
As we fade on that scene and fade back into your fight, remembering that you're here to help a friend, and with Isri begging and pleading like like
Kobold.
a Ferengi
Like some kobold.
on the ground. The creature turns and looks to Isri, ready to attack, allowing everyone, including Isri, the opportunity to turn the tide. So let's describe one more moment as the tide is turned and you destroy the guardian of the Queen of Witches. Who's top of the initiative? Danny.
Okay, so Danny, this whole time has been getting more and more stuck in the vines on its back, seeing her friends getting flung around and hearing Isri screaming. She sort of curls herself in and then throws out her hands and spins around as much as she can within the vines, just as much movement as she can get, slashing at all of the vines to get herself free and stabbing her stabbing her flame tongue rapier up towards the back of the creature's skull, trying to hit into it as much as possible with the fire damage, hoping it'll do extra.
Well, it doesn't have a skull per se. The creatures like this take on the spiritual and sort of essence of these types of creatures. So that's part of why sneak attack works so well, even on plant creatures. The idea is that you know where to strike, and on a creature like this, well, their vitals are sort of in the same place because they are the essence of these creatures they are personifying. So you stab into the head, and as you slice through part of the neck, it starts to kind of hang off, although a blow that would very easily kill most actual beasts. This one doesn't seem to stop it, as the rest of the head kind of turns on the tentacle or the vines that remain and twists 180 degrees to look back at you. Who's next?
Uma.
That would
Uma.
be me. So, something that Uma would do as part of this epic moment is, you all hear, like, Uma give this, what you wouldn't this kind of roar you would not expect from her. Instead of hearing Uma's voice kind of yelling, it sounds more like a bear just roaring in anger as you watch like fur, just her fur get a lot longer and more coarse. Her claws seem to grow from her fingernails, and she just becomes more primal beast as she would cast what was it called? Like Guardian of Nature? No, not Guardian of Nature, but Guardian of Nature, and turns into this like kind of more primal version of herself and just wails and goes on this thing as it starts, because it hurt her friends. She ain't that happy with it anymore. She just goes ape shit on this thing, or bear shit, however you want to go on it.
All right.
It's not Foster's.
No.
As you start to tear into it over and over again, you start to rip vines away as they start to hang and just dangle off the side, loose and dead. Who's next?
Lady Enith.
Lady Enith tosses her halberd aside, grabs the vines with both hands, and just starts tearing in with teeth to extricate herself from the vines that have been continually battling with her. And she's sort of positioned a little bit near underneath the creature as she's doing this. And she reaches out with she doesn't hit her backdrop. She reaches out with her hand, and in a flash of arcane light, her halberd reappears in her hand as she calls her bonded weapon back to her. And then basically just from tail to sternum pulls her halberd across underneath the creature.
Well, all right. I don't need to describe much more than that. That was perfect.
Is baked vegetable potato.
Yes, like a vegetable potato.
Yeah, it's not the pig-tato, it's the tentacle-tato, and we're killing it.
Mm-hmm.
Tentacle tato. Who's next? Hob?
Hobbs. Yep.
Hob.
One sec. Okay. So Hobbs, he, Calvin, what? Are you ready to go for a ride? And you're hungry. Okay. That's a good boy. He picks up Calvin, and he just throws him at the creature. And then at the same time, he opens up his Tasha's Guide to Husbandry, and he just tosses it aside. He's like, I'll make this up as I go. And he recklessly casts, and he casts Phantasmal Killer at the creature. And the creature sees or feels basically that it is being eaten by a leaf-cutting ants all throughout it. It's actually Calvin just kind of munching on it.
I'm ready to be done with this now. All right, Ashlyn, I believe.
Is the plant creature grossed out, or is Logan grossed out?
Both.
The players, you give the players rule. This is it.
That's really creepy, Mike.
It's awesome. Ashlyn, seeing that both Pinball and Pyre have fallen, gets kind of centers herself for a moment and calls out and casts healing, or mass heal on everyone, getting everybody back up to full or back on their feet, as she also whistles a specific set of tones, and Fizzgig comes roaring in from the side and massively attacking the tree as well, as she casts mass heal, so damage is still done at the same time.
I love that. And Isri.
Isri takes her staff and starts drawing an arcane symbol in the air with this bright yellow, this sort of the same shade as her eyes, tracing in the air, and a giant clawed hand appears over the monster, grabs part of the vine and starts pulling up, and it just starts unraveling as this one long vine comes out like a one single spaghetti noodle.
I love all of our food analogies. It's really making Logan
Oh.
comfortable.
Attached to the end of it is
The
Calvin
beating heart.
It's Calvin.
munching his way one bite up.
Oh, the Calvin. Yeah, just doing the spaghetti noodle thing.
I couldn't see that actually.
I'm just picturing him like chomping, and then it starts to pick him up, and he faints with his mouth full of vine.
What
No,
we
he
just-
faints so hard that he chomps even harder. He's just an unconscious goat hanging on to him.
we planned this in the book club.
We do lots of planning in Arcane Book Club.
And with that, the creature is defeated on so many levels. As you wake your friends up, and Pin will make some pithy comment. I think of what he would say.
He'd say, "Now I owe you a favor."
All right, so the eight of you recover yourselves and continue to head through the forest. Something that you may have noticed along this time is that even though wearing their traveling gear, Pyre still has that feather and brooch on her the strap of her pack. The feather looks perfect, pristine, so it's obviously been very well taken care of, even after combat.
What is it we're looking for again?
A cuckoo clock.
A garden.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I know the clock is there, but where is
A
it?
garden party is what we're looking for, and it should be here soon.
Oh,
A garden party?
more
I'm in.
parties.
Evidently, they always have garden parties. So.
Hopefully, it's a beer garden.
Hold on.
Mm.
No.
He
Yes,
just looks at
yes.
everyone, just like, can I stay for the
Me-
Can I stay for the garden party?
No.
Well, we'll have to be there. Yes. Mead. I'll have mead.
This is acceptable.
Could I change?
And they'll have. No, we don't have time to change.
Can you change in 10 minutes? I could put you in bag.
Yes. Please.
As you
Yes.
put in
In her bag of holding.
As you put Israel in the bag of holding, Pyre just shakes her head a little bit, rolls her eyes, and you come to the edge. This hedge, and this one is less impressive than the last one you were at, but this one is made out of thorny vines, thick, rigid, hard vines. How do you get past this?
Uma steps forward, like, I got this, and she's going to talk in Sylvan, and I'm gonna use some of my Furbolg / Circle of the Shepherd stuff to pretty much talk to the hedge and try and
Okay.
ask if it would just kindly like split apart for us. That way we can kindly pass through without maybe getting hurt.
Uma, as you walk up and try to speak to this, does it have any way of responding, or is this just a one-way thing?
Let me double check because
If it's the Furbolg ability, I think it's just one way.
I also have no, that's for bees.
But give me a perception check as you get closer.
Okay.
Lady Enith has been very carefully counting the time since she put Isri in the bag. And at 7 minutes, she
Oh, it doesn't take that long.
I'm fine. At 5 minutes, she reaches into the bag and pulls Isri up by the back of her neck and like out a little bit out of the bag. Are you done, or do you need more time?
She holds out her tattered silk robes. She has a new outfit on. I'm done. Please
Okay.
throw this away.
She will put into bag. Litter is not
Thank you.
polite.
What'd you get, Uma?
I rolled a 13 on my perception. I
As-
rolled a 4.
As you walk up this hedge, there's something wrong with it, and as you speak to it,
I forgot I have speak with plants ready, so I'm gonna actually cast that to do that.
as you speak with it, there is no reply. Not from that. The other plants in the area seem to be talkative. They're chittering at you, but the vines do not reply.
Shall I try? I have a way with plants as well.
Yeah, but these ones aren't talking.
That won't matter.
I don't.
Move.
You're not gonna hurt my plant friends, are you?
Not your friends, no. And she casts Blight.
Okay. What does Blight do?
Plant-based creatures have roll at disadvantage against the saving throw. It does max damage to plants, 8d8. So it does bad things to it.
It fails.
All right.
Uma's gonna touch the plant.
It's dry, not brittle though, but these vines are rigid and hard.
Uma's gonna scoot over to the plants that seem to be reacting to her spell. She was like, are they okay over there? Like a little to the side? Are they okay? Are they not doing well?
They.
The plants that the vines that weren't reacting to her speak with plants.
So how do you indicate over there to these plants?
She'd kind of like use her staff and kind of like lightly shake them, see if
Okay.
they can sense the vibrations. Just like,
All
are
right.
they okay?
Dead.
Oh, okay. How did that happen?
Always dead.
Like always? Like when they grew there and they were never alive?
Always
they were
dead.
just dead? Oh. Is there a way to get past them? Like to pass through them or something without, like... getting
Die.
scratched? Oh, well... Sorry, I'm a bit slow sometimes. Can you repeat that?
Dead things pass.
You all just hear Uma go, oh. Yeah.
Logan, how tall
Who
are
wants
they?
to die?
About 20.
So who wants to die? Because that's the only way to get through those planes.
We haven't even tried to fly over them yet.
Yeah, that
Oh.
was going to be my next suggestion.
Or dig under them. I could just dig a tunnel
She
under
turns
the,
back to
under
the-
the fence. We don't have to do
Can we
that.
go over or under?
No.
Okay, we could try.
Be careful if you dig. Plants are in ground, so
Right.
We should do everything so that we're gonna hedge our bets.
is bad is good.
Oh, Hobbs. No, honey, no.
Hey,
Uma-
Cicely likes it.
Uma just goes, heh. Like she only half gets it.
Danny
I-
goes over and starts digging while everyone's talking.
You're lucky that Cicely likes to drink.
Cicely doesn't drink.
Cicely doesn't
I
drink?
have
What parties
other
have you been?
charms. I'm charming.
Just because Cicely doesn't drink anymore doesn't mean Cicely didn't drink.
There's a story yet to come about that.
Can
Um,
can Enith see? Can we see through the vines, or is it so thick we can't? Like see through the barrier.
No, you can see through a little.
Enith would like to misty step through.
You misty step through just fine.
She's
Oscar.
You're on
fine.
the other side.
Hobbs cast
Hello.
flight on everybody.
But I am already here.
Not you, lady. If you're not, I can't.
That includes your two friends
If it doesn't, I can
and
do
your
it.
goat. Okay, and I'm sure that one of them can do it as well. So you cast fly on everyone, and the 8 of you, 7 of you, 8 of you with the goat, take off and just kind of fly right over this hedge, and doesn't seem to be any sort of problem or issue with it as you land on the other.
We left Danny behind. She was digging a hole. I'll go back and get her.
Danny
Enid-
digs a hole underneath and has no problem.
Enid is like thumping her tail and her foot on the ground to be like, "We are here, Danny, we are here."
We are here. We are here. We are here.
Trying to summon her like a dune sandworm. Thump.
She pops up out of the dirt. Oh. Well, if you guys were just going to go over the top, why
Pops
didn't you
about
just
the
tell
dirt.
me
You
that?
Spice Bro?
You're on the
Because
same
we-
side, Danny.
And you're covered in dirt.
Just kidding.
Meh. I won't hug you.
I wasn't
You could
sure
just
what was
prestidigitation it off.
Then I would get on my prestidigitation.
Andy, I love you so much.
After a short walk later, you start to hear sounds, clinkings of glasses and plates and cups, murmuring of conversation.
It is party.
Coming around the corner, you're standing in a garden. Beautiful topiary all around in strange creature shapes that you've never seen before. And dozens of different creatures in the park. There are satyrs and minotaur. There are a couple of bugbears, a couple of furbolgs. Any sort of fey touch creature that you can think of that's sentient and humanoid-esque is probably. As you come around, you realize this garden goes on, and there are dozens and dozens of creatures here. All just sort of having polite conversation, sitting or standing. There's a table full of teas and hot water, little pots at every table, different blends. There's another table full of drink, meads, ciders. And there's a table of foods, mostly small little finger foods, sandwiches and things like that. Charcuterie.
There we go.
Fancy.
But it's all sort of strange, smelly, dried meat.
Dried meat. Oh, is
Still
acceptable.
dried meats, yeah.
Is acceptable. Have you seen my jerky wallet?
Very, very fatty meats.
Yes.
Without context, jerky wallet means nothing.
Oh, yeah. Well, she keeps
Yeah.
the jerky in it, but when the jerky runs out, she just eats the wallet.
Yes.
Yep, she keeps remaking it.
There
Every
are
she needs a
some
new
bite
one.
marks. There are gnawing bite marks on it. Enid reaches into her bag of holding and pulls out a stein and is eyeing a small barrel of mead on one of the tables.
Lady Enid, do you have a towel in your bag that I could borrow really quick?
She removes the cape off of her shoulders and hands that to Danny ceremoniously. You are friend, I would give you cape off back.
I appreciate that, but I'm going to actually use it to wipe some dirt off my face. Do you have anything else you'd rather have me use?
I can shake off cape.
All right.
It
Danny-
shakes self, actually.
Oh, that's true. Danny's going to wipe the dirt off of herself and have her glamour studded armor change into nice clothing so that she looks less ratty.
Ashlyn will turn to Fizzgig, who went under with Danny rather than over since she does not like flying, and command her to shake, and she shakes off all the dirt.
Isri jumps out of the way.
It was just like looking at the furbolgs and just like, there are furbolgs here. This is so cool. I love this place.
if you wish to socialize, you may say hi.
You guys keep in
And-
mind, we don't actually know who's on our side right here. This is
Nobody is on our side
changing.
here. And but try to mingle a little while we try to figure out what to do
Yes.
next. As Pinball
Okay.
and Pyre head off. Coming out from the table, jumping up onto the table from behind it, is this small, grotesque little troll of a creature. It's got a long, sort of raspy, coarse hair beard that just sort of spurts, or a mustache that sort of spurts off to either side. It's white, kind of a dwarven-like features. It's got a very kind of forward brow, a little bit of a wispy chin, white as well. He's got these almost claws for hands, and they kind of hunch backwards a little bit. Huge feet with metal boots on, and a very thick red cap.
That is very fancy, little man.
Knew that
He
was
kind
coming.
of clomps over on the table, which looks like there's been room left for him to be able to do so. And he picks up a bottle and looks at Lady Enith as if expecting her to give the mug so he can pour, maybe?
Great hospitality, yes.
And he'll pour some of this this mead in.
Since Uma conjures a lot of fae and all sorts of beast-shaped fae, would she have an idea of what this particular fae creature is?
What's the highest CR you can conjure?
Let me double check, because I can do some pretty high conjurings. Depending on how powerful I do, like my conjure.
I understand.
Within beings. Like in general, I can do a second level, but it depends on what I do a summon for. Like, depends on how high up I summon.
Right. What's the highest?
Like, with the levels I'm at now, I can, if I do a 7th level spell slot, I can summon up to an 8 CR.
Yeah, you're familiar with it.
Thank you, little man. I like your hat.
How much do you like it? And he kind of grins. He's got like holes in his teeth, and
I like very much. It is very it remind Enith of Field of Battle.
yes, me too.
That's probably why it's so red. She says
Even-
really low. Probably in giant.
mean-
Wait, I don't think Lady Enid
Goblin.
speaks Goblin. Nope. Then I would say that in common because I don't think we have a shared language.
Enith just sniffs in his direction.
Oh, it's definitely wet with blood. Matter of fact, it's dripping a little.
Ugh. That you
Maybe
recent
someday
success-
you'll become more intimate with it.
I have special shampoo for blood stains, but I think that might be more than I can deal with. But thank you. Thank you for drink, friend.
Do you want to try it on?
No, I am good, thank you.
And he kind of turns and offers the bottle to anyone else and grabs one of the mugs from the table. Anyone else?
Uma says in Sylvan, "No, thank you. I'm good."
Yeah, I'll have a swig, yeah.
Pour you some. Hand you the mug.
Isri grabs a goblet off of another table and takes a different bottle and pours herself one. I'm okay, thank you.
Enith
He
is
like just
drinking.
watches you pour yourself one and just like kind of glares at you while you do it. You think it's
Thank you.
empty, fur?
Not about safety, no.
He just kind of slams the bottle down.
She's a
turns
fancy
and-
lady. She likes to do things fancy like herself.
She likes to do herself.
Hmm.
Sounds
Nope,
right.
Uma doesn't get that. Nope, it goes right over her head.
And he slams the bottle down. And he just turns and jumps off the back of the table and kind of disappears underneath.
Goodbye,
Okay, bye.
friend.
Ashlyn,
Oh.
Ashlyn's more interested in the teas, so kind of goes over in that direction to
It's not what I hear. All right. So there are all sorts of different teas and tea blends, and even maybe build your own tea bar here. There are so many different things. There's too much to count. It's an incredible, overwhelming amount of stuff.
The build your own tea bar sounds very much up her alley.
Okay.
She will go over and start smelling the different herbs and put together a blend for herself.
Uma's just like looking around, mostly awestruck, but she's wise, so she's aware that there are some dangers of the Feywild, even in a place as nice as this, even though she behaves like she doesn't know, but she's gonna look around, keep an eye out for a few things. Just like things that don't seem quite as friendly, even, and also side-eyeing the other furbolgs occasionally, just like, I want to be with my people again.
All right. And so you guys will spend a little time conversing and getting to know people, meeting some of the new Fey creatures here, talking to the other furbolgs. Many of whom, almost everyone at this party is polite, doesn't really acknowledge that you seem any different than anyone else or that you don't belong. But don't really say much beyond small talk. If you start to venture into something a little too specific about where you are or what's going on, they just seem to change the subject. If you refuse to allow it to be changed, they just turn and talk to someone.
Would you be able to get a read on when those topics changes on like why they might be doing that? Like they're just trying to avoid it, or is there something more to that?
It almost seems like they just don't acknowledge it. It's like it doesn't exist for them.
At some point, Isri attempts to ask someone how they died. Is the same thing does the same thing happen?
They look at you like you're crazy, and they stop talking to you for a completely different reason.
Fair enough.
After a while, Pyre and Pin will make their way back. All right, we've found where the house is. We're going to start making our way there now.
All right.
Okay.
Lead the way.
The queen is going to be here soon, and she's going to make her grand entrance. So hopefully, we'll be able to sneak into the house at that.
All right, sounds good.
So she'll be here in this far side of the garden, and we'll be heading towards the house. Hopefully, it's not the other way around. If she comes from the house, we'll be in trouble.
Okie dokie.
Do we still rub elbow? Do we still hobnob?
Quickly and politely if necessary, but otherwise. And the 8 of you start to head towards the 9. Sorry, Calvin. The 9 of you start to head towards the
10 with Fizzgig.
the far side. 10, sorry, Fizzgig. The 10 of you start to head towards the house, which is on the far side of the garden. It takes a while to get there, and off in the distance, over on one side, you see what looks to be a large mansion made completely out of vines. You don't see, that's not where you're headed, but it seems to be way off in the distance to the left. Ahead of you, though, you see a beautiful mansion that is made out of what appears to be natural tree, just sort of growing into a mansion shape, but it's colored. It's like the bark grows in different colors to make it more appealing and for somebody who might want a painted house aesthetic. Okay.
So this is it then?
This is it, yes. The collection lays within inside somewhere or everywhere. It's going to be a while. She collects all manner of things. She keeps them in bottles. Living, historical. I understand she has some dragon.
Wow.
That's
then.
In bottle.
interesting. All right.
Yes.
That's a big bottle.
Yes.
It's a very small bottle. She shrinks them,
Oh.
or their fey dimensions.
Hmm.
I don't know how it works. There are other.
Is that
We
how
have
fairy
any,
dragons are made?
I don't think so. I think that's frisky fairies.
Do we have any idea who or how long it's going to be before she comes back? Or when exactly she's going to show up over there? Because I'm wondering if I should go find a spot to hide.
I don't know. I'm assuming that there'll be some sort of an. And as she's about to say the word announcement, you hear these large trumpets that seem to come from nowhere on the far side of the garden. Everyone starts to make their way that way and kind of disappears out of sight around one of the hedges.
There's
I
that
would
answer.
guess that's it.
Sounds like we have a distraction, shall we?
Yes.
Yeah.
As you continue to walk over, you head towards what appears to be these beautiful double doors, almost like French doors on the outside with squares for windows. But the windows have these, they look like they have like leaf patterns on them. They're actual leaves that are growing off of the vines and tree limbs that are creating the doors themselves. She walks over, she takes a quick look around, looks at Pinball, and he nods, and they open the door, and it goes into a large sunroom. And this room has this kind of almost like thatch or patchwork roof, but it's got sunlight, lights in it, or openings where the light is kind of peering down through, filling this room beautifully and very well, has very well bright luminescence to it. Along every one of the walls and ceilings, there are different pieces of furniture. There's different armoires and not armoires, china cabinet-like things and display cases. And there's a piano along one wall. And on every horizontal surface exists several bottles. And she looks around. This is imposing. She looks in the next room, another set of double doors that lead into a larger area. And this larger area has several rooms that are all kind of separated by half walls or just archways. And they have pedestals and more of these types of hutches and things that all have bottles in them with things inside of them. She kind of frowns a bit. This is going to take a lot longer than I thought.
Well, there's a lot of us, so we just got to split up and start looking through everything, right?
And Pimple says, yes, I agree. Let's do that. Stay on this floor. Don't go upstairs. Don't go through any locked doors. Keep your wits about you.
Will cuckoo clock be in bottle or be on the wall?
It'll be in the bottle, definitely.
Okay.
And should we just, listen for the cuckoos, or...
I don't think you can hear anything. As she points to a bottle that's about 4 inches tall, and inside of it appears to be some sort of lion-like creature with wings, and it looks like it's snarling and scratching at the bottle, but you hear no sound.
Ooh, that's nifty.
Danny makes a note of where that bottle's located.
Should we let it out?
Not right now. We will maybe later.
Okay.
You're going to see a lot of things here. Don't expect that you'll be able to free or retrieve anything but what we're looking for.
Yeah, and you guys don't touch anything unless I look for traps first, just in case. She
Okay.
looks at Uma and Lady Enith.
I don't think traps are...
I am very
That's fair.
stealth. I am good.
I have sending, so if I find it, I can send to you guys.
I think we'll be able to hear each other through the house, but
Well, if
if
we wanted
not,
to be
yes, that's a
quiet
good...
and stealthy, maybe.
I understand. All right, let's go. And you all start to split up and look around the house. Now, I'm going to ask each of you, since none of you are going to find this item necessarily, we'll roll that later, or only one of you can. What is the most interesting thing you find in a bottle as you're looking around? I'll let you think about that in a second as I describe some of the things that I find the most interesting. So I'm sorry if I steal anyone's item. One of the most prized possessions that you find in a room that has several, only a handful of bottles in, like they're set almost more precious than others. One of the things you find is a gold dragon that is inside of a bottle, sleeping. And in another there is this. It's a horizontal bottle, and it looks like there is, like almost like seawater in it, and sand on the bottom. But standing in the sand, there are maybe 5 rows of 10 small little statues. And they all are sort of set evenly across in rows under the water.
Damn it, you're right. That's super interesting.
One of the things that you realize upon looking at that one is that it appears that they all are sort of attached, like the sand or the underneath or whatever it is a part of who they are. They're all connected in this pattern, and they all move.
Oh, geez, way to set the bar.
So what do you guys find? Heather?
So as Danny's looking around, there's lots of random shit in this place. One of the things she notices, because there's movement inside the bottle, she goes over and looks. It's some sort of really just dark, grayed out. It looks like it might have been living at one point, but like all the color's been sucked out of it, and it just has white, soulless eyes, and it's screaming, but she can't hear anything. And it's pointing at her and screaming and pointing at a bottle nearby. And she looks over and sees a sort of, she's not sure what it is, but it looks like it must be important, but it's glowing and pulsing as the creature is screaming. She finds a lich.
That's
with
a
its
good
phylactery
one.
in a different
That's I
bottle.
love that. That's good.
That's cool.
I like that one. That's really good.
She doesn't know what it is because magic is not her thing, but she's like, that's scary. Okay,
That's
moving on.
creepy. Yeah. That's amazing. I like that one. All right, next. Lady Enid.
Enith finds a bottle that's a little squat, up on its, like, right side up. And at the bottom of the bottle is a large, or not large, but a stone pyramid inside. And the top of the pyramid is, like, ripped off, like it's crumbled. And inside the pyramid is this little bead of, like, greenish blue energy. There's, like, a tiny little whirlpool on the inside of the pyramid top, as if this pyramid's being, like, consumed by some sort of portal, but the entire scenario is happening inside of this bottle.
Love that. Hobbs?
Hobbs is much like everybody else. There's thousands of things and whatever. But the most he settles on, it's the simplest of things, because everything is very, like, visual, and the thing that catches his eye is actually the thing that is most simple. And it's it's tiny because it's in the bottle, but it's a very, very ornate chair with just velvet, very fancy adornments on it and whatever, very expensive looking. And sitting in it is a 5-foot, or what would be in the real world, a 5-foot teddy bear, and it's just sitting there. It's kind of slumped over, not moving.
Oh, I love that.
It's just kind of just sitting there in the corner.
Perfect. Isri?
So as Isri's walking around, she notices a bottle that's horizontal on the shelf, and inside is what looks at first to be sort of a dollhouse, but as she looks closer, the facade of the building has been ripped off, and she can see where there's jagged pieces of brick, that used to hold a wall there. And inside is an elaborate series of bookshelves and scroll cases, and there's a single pedestal in the middle of the room. It has a large book on it that is open, with peering as close as she can. She sees tiny little titles of books with little codes next to them, and there's a person that's shelving.
Very cool. Uma?
So when Uma is kind of walking around, something that kind of catches her eye is when she gets a little closer look at it, it looks like it might be some kind of small flower, and it seems to be like it goes from like this dark red at the bottom, and as it goes up, it just seems to turn into more of a light purple when it gets to the tip of the petals. And something else that she kind of notices that she thinks is interesting is how it seems like the flower itself, just the petals, seem to be slightly on fire, but it's not like destroying or burning the flower itself. It's like this is a part of the flower. This is what this flower does. It seems to have this gentle kind of burn to it. It doesn't seem to give off any smoke or anything like that. It's just like this red to purple, ever burning flower that she just thinks is so interesting and unique, and she's never seen it before.
Okay. I like that. Ashlyn?
So Ashlyn sees a couple of things as she is wandering around you, but the one thing that catches her eye is a construction of a mechanical nature that she's never seen before. And being a forge cleric who is very into the creation of items, she gets a closer look at this, what appears to be a detached mechanical arm to something. It's got all sorts of interesting gears and filigree work on it. And it seems like the hand is detachable, and it's in an upright position, and where the wrist would normally be at open seems to be more of holes, like you could shoot a projectile through it. And so she gets a little bit closer and she starts kind of taking notes on the construction of it because she thinks it would be really interesting to craft. Next to it, she kind of puts hand, no arm cannon, and leaves it and underlines it.
All right. Those are all very good.
You're welcome. I'm sure you'll use them in the future.
Yep.
It don't to me in the past.
In hindsight, a lich was a bad idea.
As,
He knew those existed. It's not a big deal.
as you guys are starting to look over all these different things, you start to hear this sort of creaking of trees, almost like trees being under a lot of stress, like a high wind or something, but there's no wind. As they give way, you start to hear snaps and breaks as the entire roof is torn off. A large hand, and the Queen of Witches looking down through the roof, her head larger than anything you've ever seen, glaring at all of you, almost like you're in a living dollhouse.
Uma like stand still, like if I don't move, she probably won't see me, kind of situation.
She's not a T-Rex.
I know, but
And
Uma
that's-
still hopes.
And that's where we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 5 minutes. And we'll see you then, and we'll wrap this up. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here with Countless Heroes and our sub-drive. We're going to talk a lot about our sub-drive towards the end, and then we're going to give you a little sneak peek of our newest show, Final Rights. We got a little video to show you, but right now I'd like to say thank you to World Anvil. World Anvil, the most robust of role-building and campaign management software that exists on the internet today. I know, I've tried them all, and it's not hyperbole. I have literally tried them all. I went through all of them. I went, and some of them don't even exist anymore. I paid for them, and they are don't hold a candle in comparison. World Anvil is the software that I'd always hoped would exist, and now it does. Thanks to Demetrius and Janet for creating such an amazing piece of software. And you know that something is good when it gets to 250,000 users, and they are at 250,000 users, 250,000 users, active users now using this site. World Anvil is free to use, free. It costs you nothing. Just go take a look. If you want some extra features, like, and no, these aren't the features that you absolutely desperately need, but if you want to support them and you want some extra features such as being able to control the CSS and what the page looks like, or some special features with their maps, such as adding custom icons and things, then yeah, you'll need to pay for it. But it's a small price to pay for such an amazing service. So go take a look at worldanvil.com. Next, I'd like to thank and then of course we're doing the giveaway today. So use the code !past to be entered to win a giveaway. I think we are out of our 3-month tier master, so we are on to 6-month master tier at this point. So you will get a 6-month master tier subscription. If we get enough people, we'll upgrade that. But for entries, I don't know. I'm not even gonna look at till the end. So we'll be doing that at the end here. But it's a 6-month master tier subscription, and they have given us one for every single event from here on out. Through the rest of the sub drive, they've given us one. So you will have all sorts of them. So it's good to know. All right, so that's World Anvil. And Die Hard Dice. Go to dieharddice.com. Use the coupon code CountlessHeroes for 15% off. Also, if we get a raid or something and get to 50 users at the same time, 50 viewers at the same time, we will go ahead and do a Die Hard Dice giveaway today. That's going to be going for the rest of the event until we run out of giveaways to give away. If we get towards the end and we haven't hit the 50 users, we'll go ahead and just start giving them away anyway. But that's next week. Well, that's at the end of next week. So,
Oh man, what is that?
that is the Amethyst Gold Mythica, I think.
I hadn't seen that one. That's
Correct.
gorgeous.
Yeah, the Mythica Amethyst Gold.
Yeah, it's the opposite of my Platinum, I think.
No, yours is the Platinum Aquamarine, I think, isn't it?
No,
That's
mine's
the amethyst.
Is it
Mine's the
Amethyst? Okay, I couldn't
It's
tell.
me. It's purple.
It doesn't look as purple.
That's the aquamarine.
And then, yeah, the Amethyst is a gorgeous one. Also, all the two-tones are out. Also, there are dozens and dozens of Dire T20s, which you can go to their Twitter page and see the amazing graphics or images they took of their booth at a convention. You can see how large these dice really are because they are ridiculously big. Basically, if you've got a D&D mini that's a 25 millimeter mini, it's the exact same height as that, which is a ginormous D20. So go take a look at dieharddice.com. Use the coupon code CountlessHeroes for 15% off. All right, let's get back to it. So the roof has just been ripped off of this house, and standing, looming over you is the face of the Queen of Witches, who is not in the mood to talk. So this battle goes poorly for you at the beginning and has some major cost for each of you. It doesn't have to be a limb or anything. It can just be a temporary cost. But what is that cost? And that's the first thing I want you to describe in this first round, starting with, well, let's roll initiative. And we'll get a new initiative going.
7. That's the roll I know.
15.
Do we get hero dice here?
Oh no. 23.
Fucking rogues, man.
Yep.
16 for Enith.
3. Natural 1.
And he's getting all that together.
Uma, that was 7.
Yep.
Danny 23, Lady Enid 16, Ashlyn 15, me 13, Uma 7, Hobbs 3. Okay.
Yep. Sounds right.
So if it's not Logan, then Danny would start.
Danny, once again, starting us off. So describe a poor moment. Describe what happens bad with the Queen of Witches. You know some of her powers, and you can make up others. It's okay. She's a Queen of Witches. She pretty much has complete domain here. So she can do pretty much anything she wants. So tell me what major drawback, even if it's temporary, happens to Danny for this, well, for the rest of this session, pretty much, for the rest of the time you're here, or longer.
So Danny tries to hide, rogue. She tries to hide so that she can get a better vantage on the queen. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. Something about the house stops her from being able to actually hide anywhere. Almost like there's no corners, which doesn't make any sense. But it's a witch house, so who knows? And at the same time, the witch casts something like fairy fire on her. So she's visible all the time. She's glowing. Everyone can see her. She can't hide at all. But it also seems to slow her down. So she can't move as quickly for a little while as well.
Okay. All right. Who's next?
I think Enid was next in the initiative.
I'm sorry, I said that I didn't press the little button.
Oh,
Lady,
okay.
sorry. I totally said the name, and it was just like, I thought you guys could hear me. I don't know.
Enid is all ready to throw down, and yet something hits her that causes such an immense amount of fear that she can't help but just flee for a good solid bit of the fight. It's not something she's used to feeling. It's not something she's been raised to respect in other people. And so the idea that she got completely overcome with cowardice really rattles her to her core. Even if it was magically induced cowardice.
What?
Ashlyn?
Of course, I just took a bite because I'm a dummy.
You're
So
a Dora dummy?
You're a Dora dummy.
I meant to say
Nobody is a
adore-
dummy in Dora's eyes.
So, Ashlyn, not sure what to do, whistles for Fig and starts trying to run away. And the Queen of Witches just waves her arm, and a crystal wall encompasses both Ashlyn and Fizzgig around. Now, there's no roof on it, but she is trapped inside of this prismatic crystal and is not able to get out currently. So she's completely trapped. And it looks like maybe there might be a cork coming to put Ashlyn in a bottle.
Okay.
Isri attempts to probably foolhardily dominate the witch in capital letters, and the dominate monster spell. She was prepared for it to be counterspelled. She was prepared for it not to work, but some sort of casting that the witch does turns it back on her, and Isri finds herself completely uncontrolling, and she starts fighting against the party, being controlled by the witch.
Perfect.
We worked
That's
so
good.
hard for you to be nice.
Next.
Uma.
I sent you a quick little message, Logan, in our little chat. If you could take a look and just answer that real quick, if that would be a possible thing.
Sure.
Okay. So, the witch probably has a good, strong domain. She'd probably have an idea of what Uma is capable of. And when Uma gets ready to look like she cast a powerful spell, the witch also casts something on Uma. She fails the save because it is her dumb stat that she is the absolute worst at, becomes feeble-minded, and isn't able to cast any kind of magic. But so she kind of becomes an even bigger idiot with a lot less charisma and charm to her. But she still has her wisdom. She still is able to tell friend from foe, and since Logan gave me the okay, she can still be shaped. But that's pretty much what hits Uma, is she's not able to do her druid stuff with spellcasting.
Soxy feels your
What?
pain.
Hobbs.
Hobbs, failing his initiative, wasn't really paying attention when the roof came off, whatever, and he was has no idea what happened. Basically, out of the blue, finds himself in the exact bottle that Isri explained inside of a library, and I'm on one of the side table, and I'm going through a bunch of books, and I'm basically I think that I have to find this answer, and it's in one of these books, and I can't read any of the writing. So I start to read it, and then it just kind of fades away as I go through each book, and I'm just stuck in this endless loop of trying to find the answer to something from these books inside this bottle.
All right. Is that everyone?
Did Ashlyn go?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's right.
I believe that's everyone.
I'll bet.
All right. So with Pyre, she is stricken. No. Pyre is captured inside of a bottle, placed full-size bottle, large enough that you in the house you can see her. It doesn't seem to be able to be broken through, and inside of it, as the cork is thrown on it, everything inside of it bursts into fire, a deep blue heat that seems to hurt her immensely. You can hear her screaming as you see her skin start to crack and burn, and you can smell burning flesh as she's left perpetually in this state for a short while. Pinball is stricken with something similar to what Lady Enith had, something that scares him and some sort of supernatural fear, and flees, and he runs from his friend, something he never thought he would do, and he seems to cower underneath the table. So that is the worst moments. That is the worst part of what happens here. Now we describe the ending. Now we talk about how you defeat, at least temporarily, because it will never be a permanent defeat. We know that she survives. We know that you survive. So how do you defeat the Queen of Witches? What is your moment after turning the tide? Danny.
So she doesn't know.
And how do you get out of what you're doing with the horrible thing that you're stuck in? That'd be another good one, if you're stuck in something.
So she doesn't bother trying to hide, since the witch is going to be able to see her anywhere she goes. So she just starts looking for something that could be helpful. And in the room she was in, the bottle that stood out to her the most seems like maybe it would be useful, because that creature looked really, really mad. So at some point during the fight, since she's seen anyway, she's like, fuck it, I don't care about this. She picks up that bottle and throws it as hard as she can right at the witch's face, hoping that it'll burst open and that creature will.
It's your
start
moment.
fighting.
So yes, it bursts open. That creature falls to the ground a little bit, lands, and then looks at you with daggers, but almost still this kind of acknowledgement of a debt. Just a quick, acknowledgement, but you don't think this creature can look with anything but daggers. And it turns back and starts to cast. And the first thing it casts is Gate. Summoning some elder undead creature. Let's say, trying to remember a good one. Oh, out comes a bone swarm. This huge creature made all of bone that starts to swarm over the queen of witches, consuming and biting into different parts of her, stabbing her over and over and over again. And as the battle continues, he will continue to cast spells to aid you. Who's next?
Enith is next.
Enith.
Recovering her faculties, as indomitable as Enith tries to be, she eventually shakes off that fear and confusion that is racking her brain, and she remind me again, is the Queen of Witches still gigantic?
Sure.
Okay. Enith looks up at the Queen of Witches, sees, okay, I'm not necessarily going to be able to, like, melee her as effectively as I want. And she essentially, in a meta way, she, no. Does anybody have a bow and arrow or something that they use?
I have like 2 crossbows.
Okay. Enith is going to shout to Danny to shoot at the queen at some point, like hit her in the face. And as Danny lets off a bow at some point during the fight, Enith casts darkness on the bolt that Danny shoots out at the witch's face and envelops her vision in this magical darkness long enough that Enith can just start going a little wild again and like running around doing the teleportation thing, just swiping and just bamfing in and out to attack her as much as possible to not get swiped by the witch.
Perfect. Ashlyn.
Ashlyn, looking up at this creature looming above her, seeing a hand come down with this cork, quickly grabs her holy symbol and traces a symbol in the air with it. And as this cork reaches the top of the glass that she's in, the symbol goes off on the Queen of Witches, casting insanity. And the Queen of Witches drops it as voices just begin echoing and screaming inside of her head for the next minute or so.
Love that. It's beautiful.
Then Ashlyn gets on top of his gig and casts etherealness and then walks right through the glass.
Perfect. Israel.
So I think at some point during the fight, Lady Enith would have just hit Isri in the back of the head and let her save for the spell. And so Isri just looks around and goes, well then. Mm-hmm. And points at a point away from her, just underneath where the witch is standing over, and reverses gravity, and all of the bottles underneath the witch fly up and smack into her, breaking open, and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
Fuck yes!
Literally.
Yeah, lots
Amazing.
of horrible things start to happen, and I don't even have a way to describe it all. The space becomes crowded with creatures and things. Nothing in these bottles are the correct size. They, for the most part, ships appear and large creatures and God, I have no fucking clue. Everything just starts to happen.
The end of Angel.
I was gonna say the end of Iron Man 3, but with fantasy creatures.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just like so much starts to happen. Thousands and thousands of gallons of water start to pour into this place from different things she's stored. So many different bottles. Obviously, that would also break Pyre out. Who will land into the water feeling great for a moment until it realizes it's salt water on all of her burns. But the water quickly dissipates as we go to Uma.
So Uma is really stupid, can't cast spells, has no charisma now. But you said it was okay, so she still has those instincts. She still knows that witch bad, friend's good. And she's like, gotta help, gotta fly, gotta go up there. And through this like unintelligible thought process, she turns into a giant eagle and knows witch bad, not good, must attack. And as a giant fucking eagle, she would fly out to attack.
And that's why the giant eagles only help sometimes. They're feeble-minded. Now we know. Finally, an answer.
Because it's not a spell. I just do it.
Yeah, it's fine. Perfect.
So, yeah.
So what is the results of that?
She's mostly going to just like. There's a lot going on with the witch anyway, with all this haywire and the hell that Isri had unleashed. So she's just mostly being a giant eagle, just trying to get in the way and bat at the witch's face, just to distract her from her friends and not like focus on the big fucking bird in front of her face. Just like, fuck off.
And with her insanity and everything going on, all these things appearing, her house is falling around her and she is not happy. Hob.
Okay, so inside this library that is now probably currently falling to the ground, he's searching through lots of books, and finally he gets to one, and the title kind of makes sense. It just doesn't mean anything to him, but he can read it. It says Puppies of Mystery, and he's just skimming through it, and he starts reading it, and it's kind of making sense. And he gets to, like, I don't know, maybe chapter 2, and the main character, whose name is Gareth Bravehound, says, You use your goats. You use your ivory goats, your inner goat. And then Hobbs snaps out of it, realizes that he's falling. The bottle doesn't break when it hits the ground, but the cork is still there. So he thanks Gareth in his head. He's like, oh, okay. Grabs his ivory, his figurine of the ivory goats, takes off the goat of terror, hops on it, has the goat charge through the stopper, and just runs. Everything within 30 feet of it is now frightened and just scatters. But he stops, gets off, and he uses his ring of telekinesis to raise the goat of Terra up and just shoot it directly at the witch, who is frightened from it for many turns.
I hate you and I love you.
All the debuffs, all the status conditions. Fuck you, bitch.
Pinball, finally able to compose himself with all the chaos, the spell that affected him, finally dropping. He looks up ashamed. The idea of leaving any of his friends behind is not something he would ever consider. He comes back in and he looks over and he sees Pyre on the ground. His heart sinks. He runs over to Pyre, tries to help her up. She barely wants to be touched. The burn marks over her body, her clothing sticking to her. And even after healing, no one is sure that anything good is going to come from this. Her hair all gone. She starts to try to cast, and she stops. She can't bring herself to do it. They exchange some words. Pinball reaches into his component pouch and hands her something. She holds it stiffly in her hand and she starts to cast. And she casts Fireball, only it comes out ice. And then again, another Fireball. Over and over, every round of combat, these large, frozen, cold balls of ice bursting around the queen. A fear and an anger that no one has ever seen from Pyre. Always joked that she was hot-headed, but no one has ever seen her like that. With everything going on, eventually the witch retreats. She abandons her realm, taking all of the intact bottles with her. Except for one. Knowing what they were here for, knowing her realm, and not wanting to be pursued any farther. The last bottle left on a single shelf in a room that none of you went into because this place was just too big. You find a small clock. A cuckoo clock. Simple, wooden, nothing too fancy. After healing Pyre, all of the burns, some magical force left scarred, her body covered in them. The pain never seems to quite leave. Even with the healing. Every once in a while, she just leans on Pinball, who holds her. And she just whispers, "It still hurts."
I can't do any more for you.
I know. He wraps her in some clothes he had as you bring the bottle to her.
Ashlyn would have made sure that Uma was unfeeble-minded as well.
Because there was a point where Uma was just sadly sitting on the floor, not really able to comprehend what was going on around her.
Everybody gets healed back up. Everybody comes. She takes the bottle and she pulls the cork off. And this goofy little cuckoo clock appears. As it does, the realm crumbling away from you, turning to just forest. A breeze picks up. Leaves start to blow past you. And these leaves are fall colors, even though it is summer. The fall colors, yellows, greens, reds, browns, turn to vibrant colors, purples, greens, blues, reds, yellows, all extremely vibrant and colorful. And the leaves start to mix with feathers. Feathers just like the ones you've seen her wearing. A feather that still is untouched after being burned. becomes so much that you're almost overwhelmed. You have to turn away from the breeze, and then it dies down. All the feathers and leaves land to the ground. As you turn, you see a beautiful fey creature. A woman's face, but with feathers all through her hair, across the sides of her face, down her neck, wearing brilliant moon-touched clothing. Pyre stands up a little straighter, takes a couple of steps over, and hands the clock to this woman. Kind of bows her head. You've done well. Better than I ever could have hoped. Pyre says, I'm ready for what you promised. And this woman looks and nods and says, of course. But I have something different in mind for you. And Pyre almost indignantly scowls and says, you can't break your deal. He says, no, but I can give you more. Pyre almost looks confused at this, the idea that a fey creature would ever voluntarily give more. And this woman looks at Pyre. We've had an opening, and after what I just saw, I think you'll fit it perfectly. But it's time to say goodbye. And she turns back to the group and comes over, staggering a little and almost falling into Pinball's arms as Pinball wraps his arms around her. Seems that he knew what could happen here. She turns and looks at all of you. Thank you. I've never felt I belonged with my people, and I never felt like I belonged with yours. I needed to be here. I needed this. The last step out of so many sacrifices, so much pain, so much pain. It burns so much. Turns to Pinball. I don't know if I'll ever be able to use fire again. He nods. Maybe you won't have to here. I don't know what your deal is, but maybe you won't have to. She nods a little. Turns back to you all. Turns to Ashlyn. Ashlyn, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for everything.
Of course. That's what I'm here for.
Good luck with all that you're going to be doing. I see great things coming from you, from all of you.
I've trained one forge cleric. I guess it's time to start training some more.
Many more. Hundreds. Take care of Goodsberry. He needs you. He'd be nothing without you.
Have a good life,
Take
Pyre.
care. You know. Goodsberry leans down and gives scritches to Cal. I don't know what I expected. runs over and pets Fizz, and starts to give everyone quick hugs. Walks back over to this. All right, my queen. I'm done. And as this woman is about to speak, Pyre puts up a hand. I know you were testing. Do you need that? And she kind of shakes her head a little bit and hands it back to her, the clock, and says, it was only a test. It's yours. She reaches on the ground and picks up a small rock, pops open the back of it, and inscribes something. Closes the back and walks over and hands it to Pinball. So you never forget me. He goes, how could I ever? And he leans down and starts to kiss her. As they're about to kiss, this woman, this colorful feathered woman, reaches out her hand and starts to twist and swirl it up. And out of the ground, the leaves start to spin. And they turn to snow. And the snow starts to wrap around Pyre. And you see her skin turn clear and pale. Her clothing turns to a beautiful gown. Her hair turns streaked white. The air around becomes cold. Her eyes turn blue. And as she kisses Pinball, a streak of his hair turns white. As she pulls away and smiles, there's cold breath coming from the two of them. He smiles and says, I always knew you'd be a queen. She grins a little, obviously the pain gone. And she turns to all of you, nodding once again. As she turns and steps back with this woman. The woman turns to the rest of you and says, it's time for you to go.
Okay.
Ashlyn will do a kind of a curtsy, like, yes, ma'am.
Your Majesties.
Oh, Pyre, it sounds like you won't be coming to the next month's wine gathering. I'll see that someone takes your share.
She just nods.
She could make you ice wine.
Too sweet.
This woman turns to Pyre. And Pyre looks to her and just seems to understand. She reaches her hand up and just pulls it and throws the air to the ground. And for a mile in every direction, 2 feet of snow just appears around. And a snowstorm billows up and around all of you. It becomes blinding for a moment, and then after it subsides, and you're standing in this mile-wide, 2 feet deep snowbank in the middle of the city. The middle of Barrel Run, snow appears from nowhere, with the 6 of you standing in it. 8 of you, sorry. Well, one of you's fainted in it. I'll let you figure out which one.
It's Pinball.
Probably. 9 of you. Sorry, 9 of you. There's a lot of...
A fuck ton of us.
And that concludes this small piece of prequel history. What I would like to do now, though, is I would like to go around and hear of one moment of each of these characters that touches on history. Something that's related to something that's happened in the game, if possible. Give us a little glimpse into the past and what that moment was like.
For our current characters?
For Hobbs, these characters.
Okay.
I want to know what these characters did, a moment in their history that is significant to our current campaign.
What if it's not significant? Like a known thing.
It's
Is that fine?
Doesn't matter.
I can go first. Enos is probably the most
Go for
talked
it.
about.
Sure,
And
go
I'll
for it.
right after.
So Lady Enith, she takes this idea of Arcane Book Club and as a founding member and continues spending her money benefiting the poor and trying to create as many educational opportunities as possible. She starts a library system in the city, and that library system eventually grows enough that Enith is able to live to see the opening of Stone's Throw University, which becomes a major university in the Cinderhaven principality, city-state, in Cinderhaven.
Perfect.
I can go next. Or is there?
Hobbs was going to go.
Oh, perfect.
Go ahead, Ashlyn. I'll go after.
Okay. Alright. Ashlyn's small shop, the Divine Foundry, she turns into the Forge Clerics Guild, and trains several prominent members, with her friend Nora taking the political face of the guild. Eventually, she meets a young half-orc named Afra, and trains her to be her number 2. And the two of them work together to create the plans for the boat lift, which eventually becomes Afra's life work after Ashlyn disappears.
Isri?
Well, I don't like thinking about where the sewers go. It's just a little detestable. It's not to my liking. So I work with Pinball to come up with a different place for you to go if you were to ever stumble upon a sewer. And I help him construct his library in the sewer system of Cinderhaven.
Oh, perfect. I love it. Good job.
Enith makes a
Hobbs?
public library, and Isri's like, no, we still need something exclusive. I'm sorry, dear.
Yeah.
Seriously.
There are some books that need to go with the top men.
So one of the, there's a couple, but this one is a known thing.
Hold on, let me get some tissue. Go ahead.
No, it's no, it's fine.
Okay.
He later on in life, he remembers basically from that book in this moment about the name Gareth Braveon, who saved him, and that is where he got the name for GB, who he later awakened as his little orange and white puppy. And his first words upon awakening were, "You're a wicked good boy," of course. And
Damn it, Mike.
I fucking hate you.
I love you, but I hate you.
he continued doing research for Goodsbury. He managed a reserve, myotonic reserve, and animal philanthropy, which is farm.
Philanthropy.
Yeah, he gave birth to Ivy with Cicely. They got married and raised her.
Maybe Cicely gave birth to Ivy.
He gave birth to what?
He invented magic.
It's magic.
He
so-
helped.
Oh,
She
he
looks
pulled a
more,
junior.
more like me, don't you think?
God, I would watch that movie.
And of course, attending the Arcane Book Club. But he lived a very, very long time. Many myths say he's still there, but we'll see. On the anniversary of each one of his friends, as they passed away, all these heroes through the years, he created a memorial for each one of them. And he tucked them away, and they were hidden in the mountains. Each one was a grand and elaborate memorial for, and it was adorned with a book written by Hobbes. And it celebrated their life, and it told each of their life stories and the impact that that each one of them had on him as well as the world around them. His hope in doing so was that one day in the distant future, they would be discovered, and these heroes would be remembered for the heroes that they were.
Danny?
My heart.
Okay. I know, right? God damn it, Mike. Now I'm already crying, so I'm gonna cry more. So Faroche don't live incredibly long lives, so she would have been at the end of her life when Goodsbury was revealed as a vampire and everything went down right before he took full control and the whole event with the Leviathan and everything. So she did have a family, and of course she still had some of her friends around. Danny went down swinging. She fought till the very end in order to make sure that some of her friends could get out when all of the fighting was going down with the Leviathan, including Pinball. So her contribution was making sure that some of her friends who would go on to continue fighting Goodsbury got out.
Okay.
Oh, and then her family, since there's no Faroche in Cinderhaven right now, they would have left and probably gone back to Lamina, and perhaps have some descendants, including a particular Faroche that led the current party astray.
A little white loves to cook Faroche.
Frau Frau.
Oh,
I was thinking Frau, but we could
The
go
one
that
that
route
led us
too.
You know what?
astray.
No, I like that one
Yeah.
better. I like that one better. I mean,
They're
it
not
would-
part of any clan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would make sense.
Uma.
So, for Uma, a lot of it was helping to establish a farm near where Hobbs and Cicely would live. That way she could help take care of any animals. Like, people would have to come out of the city because it's more room for her to do so, even though that's not really well known nowadays. But one day when she was caring for some animals, she noticed two children that were kind of in her woods. One of a similar race such as her, a young furball child. Another was a very interesting, colorful looking child, more bug-like than she had ever seen before in her entire life. And she took them both in and took care of them, helped raise them as her own, helped her around the farm. But unfortunately, she lost track of them during whatever happened with Goodsbury and that revelation, and she wasn't able to find what happened to them or know where she is. She just knows that unfortunately she had to leave and help the others when, shit went south. And before all of that had happened, she did also help some goblins try and figure out how to build up a small village. Just help them get more of the groundwork, clear out a nice little area for them. She has no idea how the fuck they do all the building stuff, but she helps them at least find a very nice place to live. And that's pretty much her contributions to history.
As for the rest of our story, Pinball at some point having a talk with Ashlyn several weeks or months after it all happened, was sitting talking about potential dates and, makes, I'm sure, some comments about particular party members, and just to kind of make thoughts. And one name he never really seems to mention is Uma. So I would guess that Ashlyn might say something to, well, what about Uma? And he'd look and say something like, Furbolg? And I don't think so.
Lady Enith is
not
too much
really
woman for Pimble.
Yeah, not Furbolgs really aren't my type.
Yeah, well, I mean, sadly, you're not my type either.
Well, you weren't on the list. And
Because you're smart.
I've been burned before.
Womp.
Very funny.
and then the last thing that we're going to end with is the king has died. And by an overwhelming response of all the lords, Goodsbury has been determined that he should be the next king.
Here.
That's a good
Although it
choice.
won't happen for another month or so for the coronation, there's still plenty of time. Lots of things can happen in that time, and lots of things do happen in that time. But what he does is he takes those of you aside, and he says, I have something new to show you. Something that is going to help protect our city. Pinball and several of his friends have been working on it for a very long time, and I want you to meet my new advisor, Donovan.
It's nice to meet you.
Hello.
After introducing you to Donovan, who is very charismatic and very friendly, they take you in a room and show you a very rough, poorly crafted black suit of armor.
I'm sorry. Could you explain what Donovan looks like in great detail?
You've already seen him. He's been in the game. He...
What's it do, that armor?
It's a golem. But better than any we've ever seen. And Donovan starts to call out commands, and this golem raises his hand, and this energy shoots from his hand and destroys a small hay bale nearby, leaving bits of flaming hay all around.
It had it coming.
I don't. That's scary.
Yes, very scary.
Yes, but it'll only be needed to protect the city when necessary. We're only going to make a few of them, and
Yeah.
we'll use them very sparingly.
They're gonna be able to help a lot of people.
Yes, I approve of this. They are strong.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like Trey.
I mean, if they're just being used for protection, then it kind of makes sense.
And if there aren't a lot
It's-
of them, that's good, I guess.
It's very much, yes, just like Trey, but it's the more advanced version of him. They can think,
Right.
and it can do more, and it can, well, not really speak, but we're working on
But
that.
it'll keep people safe, right? It won't hurt anybody.
No, that's what they're for, is to keep people safe.
Just bales of hay, Uma. It's
That's
fine.
good.
I will say, if it's just a few, it seems like Cinderhaven's a little big for that. I would suggest more than that. It seems like this would be a good police force.
Well, maybe someday, but I trust our guards. And hopefully we'll be at peace for a very long time, so we won't need them.
I'm glad somebody trusts them. Ashlyn just kind of grins a little bit, knowing that she had been paying off the cards for quite a long time prior to this.
I do think they need a little bit of an update, though. This is a little archaic looking. Something a little fancier.
You want me to take a
I'll
crack
get
at
that.
it?
Yes, would you?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
I'd love to see some designs.
Are you set on the black, though? It's
I do like the black.
okay.
I know it's imposing, but I think it might be necessary sometimes.
Oh, well, I
Sure.
did see that rainbow feather the other day. That could be a nice design for them.
You could just
Maybe.
put a sheen on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's stick with the black for now.
Enith sort of saunters up to it. How far since the prequel, since the one shot we just went through, how much time has passed? Is this near the? Well, how about
That's
this?
all kind of-
Is this near the end
This is
for
you-
Enith?
Lady Enid is dying in like a week, so yeah,
okay.
probably.
Oh, fuck you, Logan.
Well, okay.
It's right before the king becomes king.
Yeah. So
Way to
Danny's
take-
probably got like a cane.
Yeah, I was gonna say Lady Enid is old,
Uma's still
like probably a
spry.
little longer than.
Ashlyn and Uma are still looking just fine.
Anyway, as I was
Go
trying
ahead.
to say before the thunder was all taken,
Sorry.
Enith is a little slower than she was. She sort of saunters up to the armor and like wraps a couple knuckles on it, and yeah, she's a lot slower and got a lot of gray going. This is good. I like this. This will be strong and help city.
And they don't need to sleep or eat or be paid.
But where is
Like I
fun
said-
in that?
So you can eat and sleep and play more.
Ah, yes.
And our guards won't be
Okay.
endangered. Can you imagine no lives in danger?
That all sounds really good, actually. And I mean, there's a few of us that are getting on in years, and she kind of nods at her and Lady Enith. We're not as spry as we used to be. So having some more powerful things to protect the city is a good idea.
That's nonsense. You can both still kick my ass from here to next Tuesday, and you know it.
Also, if you
Only because you can't see me coming.
if you didn't happen to be here at some point and we were attacked by some larger creature, this could help. A dragon or something.
That is a good point.
That would be good.
Well, the rest of us will also be here to help out.
Well, the boat lift also opens very soon, so
That'll be fun.
it's going to be a very, very good month, I think.
Yeah. Afra's really coming along. I think I might be finally stepping down and letting her lead for a bit. I've got some ideas for this armor. I saw a really interesting design of a mechanical arm. I think it might make a really good improvement.
Perfect.
I need to be ready for book club meeting this evening. So, is there
I'll
more
help you
you
back,
need?
Lady Enid.
Is there more you need of me?
No, that'll do.
It has been a pleasure, my liege. We'll see you soon.
I'll
He
help you
bows
out,
to Lady
Lady
Enid like he always does.
I have to get back to my little ones anyway, so you know.
They're so very little.
Isri surreptitiously casts fly on Lady Enid so she doesn't have to walk.
I can do it myself.
But
No
that's
need
more
for-
fun.
No, I meant she could cast fly on herself. she looks at Isri and like with a
Loaded.
little wave of arcane
With her
energy
cape.
floats faster out of the out of the room.
Oh, good. Double fly. That will be effective.
Isri's coming on to age pretty too, actually, now that I think about it.
Actually, I've been periodically killing myself and true resing myself with with all of the money we've been accumulating. I would have died quite often a while ago if not for that. I'm quite sprightly.
Jesus Christ.
Isri, I thought we were going to tell anybody about that arrangement.
That's
Oh,
100%
was this
something she would do too.
Yes.
All right,
Do
and
you want
that
to have
is
wrinkles?
where we're going to end. I am going to leave you with one last little silhouetted moment before we end here. Actually, we're going to talk real quick about the sub drive before I do that. So we are in the middle of our sub drive, and we want to make more content like this. We want to have more community events like we've been having all week. We've got a ton of more community events coming next week. We've got something coming up here in a little bit with Chad from Cat of Goodness. He's going to be running a game of cats. I don't know what that is, but I think people play cats, and it's literally going to be them like standing on top of furniture and knocking things over, I think.
I can
Yeah.
provide a little bit of
I
premise.
don't need it or want it. It's fine.
Perfect context.
I was going to say that's the exact enough content. It's teased enough. You can come
It's
in and play
perfect.
I'm in
It's
I'm in that one
perfect.
too.
So there are 4 tiers you can subscribe at. We have a $10 tier, a $20 tier, a $35 tier if you're amazing. That's our superstar tier. And at these different tiers, you get different perks and benefits. At the top tier, if you want to get everything, all the cool stuff, you would get a cookbook, the Nerdsmith cookbook, in a physical copy, a PDF copy, and that cookbook's going to be really amazing. It comes out, it's going to look like a little adventure module from classic D&D. It's going to be really neat. And then you get the sub pin. We have I almost said submissive pin. A subscription pin.
That's next year.
Next year is the sub pin. Is the submissive pin.
The subs-
Subscription pin. It's
Someone
a
needs to write
unique,
that down.
a unique
Oh,
pin.
it's
We already
already
have.
in.
We
It's
already
already
done.
already
It's
designed.
yeah,
Um,
I already have a design.
Yeah, we're ahead of you.
The sub pin is very cool. We're gonna get that finished up here and hopefully have some pictures very soon, early next week. Of that, it's exclusive for 2019 subscribers, so only people who subscribe this year will get it. Then you'll have a D20 from Die Hard Dice, which will come along with that.
Metal D20?
A metal D20, yes. It's a metal D20 from Die Hard Dice. It'll come along with that. You get 50% off of all Nerd Alerts. Nerd Alerts are little shout outs that you can pay for to have us read something on the air, to a shout out to a loved one or a happy birthday message or something like that. You also get one free one at that tier. And you get access to all of our bonus content, 35 pieces of bonus content. You get special access to some channels in our Discord server. And what am I missing?
A very gorgeous Nerdsmith mug.
Oh, and the Nerdsmith mug, which we're going to get a sample of this week, hopefully, so we can have that out as well. So all of that you would get in the top tier, and you can go to nerdsmith.org/subdrive to get the last little bit of information on that to tell you which tiers have what. You can sign up for there as well. If you can't afford $10, $20, or $35, we do have a $5 tier, which is a minion tier, which helps us out just as much. We really appreciate it, and that gives you access to the bonus content and the Discord channels only. But you know what, it's support for us, and we really appreciate it. And all the support comes, we put it all back into what we're doing here, so we can buy new equipment and pay for advertising and build up our network and help promote all the amazing shows that we build over on the Nerdsmith network. So that's why we do it. So we really appreciate everyone who's willing to help us along the way. You're all amazing, and we couldn't do this without you. We wouldn't be doing this without you. So thank you, everyone, so far, and in the future. And anybody who's even thought about donating, we really appreciate that. We recommend going right after this, after we finish up here, and subscribing if you're gonna subscribe, because otherwise you might forget about it. You don't want to miss out on some of these exclusive perks that we're gonna have. A lot of those perks, the mug and the pin. No, the pin will stay. The mug, the die, and the cookbook, those all go away after the sub drive. If you don't sub during the sub drive, you can't get any of those. So make sure that you sign up during the sub drive. Thank you again to Die Hard Dice, and especially to World Anvil for all of the cool things. I don't know that we got any entries. We did.
Yeah, I saw
We
at
got
least one.
we got at least one. And let's go ahead and roll that real quick. That's so horrible. There you go. Thank you. Battle Weaver Ivan.
Woo!
Congratulations, Battle Weaver Ivan. We will get you your 6-month Master Tier subscription to World Anvil, courtesy of World Anvil, as here in a few minutes. I'll get that to you in a few minutes. And lastly, right before we go over to our our teaser trailer of Final Rites, which you can actually watch the first episode on already, which you can do that probably tomorrow, since we're not broadcasting tomorrow, so do it tomorrow. But we're going to show you the teaser trailers. The last thing I want to leave you with is this. At some point in a little silhouetted, way panned back scene where you don't really hear anything, you see a woman Furbolg walk up to a little dwarf and hand him a puppy. Good afternoon, everyone. We love you all, and we appreciate everything you do for us. We hope you enjoyed this. We hope we kept it relevant enough. And we'll see you later. Realized now I got to switch everything over to the sub drive. Yay!